Welcome back to another episode of Uncut and Uncensored. And today I am joined by my best friend in the world. I love you.
I love you so much.
I'm so happy she is here. It's Larsa Pippen. How excited are we? So we haven't done this for ages, Larsa. And well, obviously we're here for my birthday. But Larsa was a wife, a mother to the most upcoming NBA star probably there is right now. We are watching him closely. And how is it, being all of these things to all of these people, basically? I mean, it's like, and a reality star and, working and holding everything together.
It's super fun.
And being bi-coastal.
I know. I love it. I feel like it's been really an amazing journey, a lot of people just wanted me to be like an NBA wife, and I didn't want to just be an NBA wife. I wanted to do so many more things, So I feel like once me and my ex broke up, I really wanted to focus on my kids and my work, and so that's kind of what I've been doing.
I feel like with Larsa, you have been misunderstood for so many years. I mean, you were a wife to Scotty for, 20 years. And that's where I had seen you first. And then anyone that comes out of a long-term relationship, we kind of go through, I mean, I don't know about you, but I definitely did, an identity crisis of some sort.
Well, you just don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're trying to figure out what you want. And then I think it doesn't help when you're like in the spotlight and everyone notices every time you meet someone for dinner or you go on a date with them, they're automatically linked to you for the rest of your life. And so people are like judgmental when, they see you dating.
I think it's even more about the dating, though. It's like, as a woman coming out of a long-term relationship, and I think, being an NBA star's wife, you were really a wife. I mean, a day for you was, as you told me, you took care of that man, like in every aspect of his life, paying the bills, moving the furnishing your homes, traveling, packing. Like, what was a day like for you when you had to move around the world with him? And, who was Larsa at that time?
I mean, I was really just a wife and a mom. That was like my only job. I didn't really focus on other things because I was married so young, and my ex-husband was a superstar, so I just followed him around. I took care of the kids and his needs. Just so many things, Caroline. It was just kind of crazy, all the things that I did to make sure that the machine was well oiled and in motion at all times.
I don't think people see that side. I think people always see the glamorous side. And when you're married to someone like that, like, it's everything. You probably handle the bills, you handle the homes, you handle the flights. It's like you just make sure their life runs smoothly.
Yeah.
So I think so many times women in those kind of relationships forget to do things for themselves or who they really are inside or what you wanted. Because, I mean, I know for me, obviously I wasn't married to an NBA star, but I know for me that I turned myself into what I thought a wife should be more than looking at who Caroline wanted to be.
I think we just forget about us. We put ourselves in the back of the line, and I think we focused on what's in front of us, our husbands and our children. And that, to me, was like my number one priority. So I really focused on that and just building my kids and making sure that my ex-husband was happy. And then one day I woke up and I was like, I'm not happy. Everyone else is happy. Everyone else is thriving. But I'm just like, who is Larsa at this point? I had like forgotten who I was. I've forgotten all the things that I wanted to do in my lifetime, And so when we broke up, I was like, hey, by the way, I think I want to go back to reality TV.
Yeah.
Because when I did Housewives 15 years ago, my ex didn't like it. And so because he didn't like it, I wanted to make him happy. I didn't do it again. And then once we broke up, I was like, you know what? Maybe I do want to be back on TV.
Do you think you wanted to be back on TV for, like, just to be known in your own right, so people got to see who Larsa was? Because, when you're in someone's shadow the whole time, they don't really get to know you.
I think it was a lot of things, honestly. I had more free time. My kids were getting older. And just, I wanted to do something that I thought would be fun, and I thought being on Housewives would be fun for me.
Housewives, I think, is, one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. We talk about it a lot because, it's one of the best, as in it's an incredible experience to have, and I don't think either of us would change that for anything. But it's also something that is very, very soul destroying if you're not strong.
Honestly, I have this characteristic about myself that I don't really care what other people think. And that's probably why a lot of people don't know who I am, because I don't move based on people that don't know me. I move based on people that do know me in my real relationships. And, I'm really good at relationships. I've nurtured, my ex-husband and I for 20 years. That's like a lifetime in the NBA.
We were discussing this last night. We sat down on the couch and just discussed this because we have friends, obviously both of us, that sometimes don't understand how two-way relationships work because they're single or they haven't had long-term relationships. And, how important and how I think you and I are so giving to the people around us because we're so used to being able to compromise and make other people happy. It was funny yesterday. I was shouting at her because she was half an hour late for the boat, and she's like, why are you being so, why are you being like that? Why can't you just relax on the back of the boat? You're on a gorgeous yacht. Just enjoy yourself. Have some champagne. I'll get there when I can. And then when she got there, instead of being, pissed off and grumpy, she absolutely saw why I was a little bit annoyed that they weren't there, because we were sitting on a construction site at the time. And she was like, oh, I'm so sorry if I'd, not that she could have gone faster, but we have that relationship where you can have the back and forth, and we're okay with that.
Yeah, totally.
You get over it. It's not the end of the world. And I think some people can't take that. And I see that with your kids as well, the way you bring up your children. You are one of the most nurturing. I mean, your son is about to be the new NBA star, isn't he?
I mean, he's doing pretty well. Yeah, I'm really excited for him.
You watch every game. You do everything for your kids. You're so giving to other people, and I see that. And I think other people that have been around or have only seen Larsa Pippen sort of with this extremely glamorous life don't understand how much you give to other people, and you really do. And I've been explaining this for quite a long time, and that's what I love about her. I would not be friends with the person that everybody out there, not everybody, but the press maybe portrays. I mean, it's very hard to date anyway, whether you're in the public eye or not. Nobody really enjoys dating anymore. It's so hard to do, but it's a different level when you're in the public eye.
Well, I also feel like it's, I think a lot of people don't want to see you with another basketball player. But if that is your community, I feel like you're just surrounded by. I'm just surrounded in the basketball world, so that's kind of my community, Well,
I understand that you're watching, and when I got home every night, you've been watching it. That's your world. That's the only world you really know. I presume. Yeah. So, I think that whatever. I mean, I actually don't like judgment, and the judgment, sadly, always comes from women. I hate judgment, and I think that you and we've been discussing a lot, because Larsa's obviously been through a lot. I've been through a lot, and I feel like finally, and I've seen so much growth, even in just the years that we have been friends, which is a good 9 years maybe now, and I really feel and I see how relaxed you are now, and how calm you've become. And I feel the same. Yeah. Like we've got into our stride. I think
it's when you're first going through a divorce, you don't know where you're going to land. And it's a really scary place. It's like you're so used to your married life, and not all of a sudden you're single. You don't know who to date. You don't know where to, it's just an uncomfortable unknown. And I think that's kind of can make you crazy a little bit. And so I'm finally comfortable in my own skin. I feel like I'm good. I feel really good.
And she said something so important to me, which is where we actually really bond on so many things as well. And is that, she never wanted to fight Scotty, because just like me with my ex, my end game was to come out with a relationship with him. And I think that was your end game, because we've both understood, which is I cannot drum this into women more. If you have children, you're not getting divorced. So it's better to have a good relationship than no relationship.
100%.
And, I think everything that you've achieved on your own, and I have achieved on my own, and I do understand that, we have fame behind us. I do understand that, but there are plenty of other ways to make money today. we put our work first now as a priority for ourselves to take care of ourselves so that we can choose for love.
Totally. No, for sure.
And I think that you don't prioritize money either.
No, no, I'm not like that. Even when I was going through my divorce, I didn't want to fight Scotty for money. I was like, no, I want everything to go smooth. I didn't go hire the biggest shark attorney. I didn't do that. I wanted to hire someone. I hired a lawyer that was a therapist and an attorney because I was like, I want it to be amicable. I don't want to fight him. I love him. I want my kids to feel good. I don't want to damage my kids along the way, And so, we have a great relationship. My kids are thriving. They're happy. And life is good. Thank God I made it to the other side because you do kind of get lost along the way.
And I think women that come from very big lives, and this is something that, as you all know, I've started these retreats, and Larsa has agreed to do one with me too. So we're going to do one together. But I think that's something we really, really want to stress and push upon, is that obviously when you have a big life before and women panic that they're not going to be able to do it or their life is going to end. I mean, okay, your home is beautiful, obviously, but is it the same house as you had with Scotty? Probably not. But
No.
this is, how happy are you here? I feel my house is a third of this house and I'm the happiest I've ever been.
No, I feel life is good. It's not really about the money. It's more about the happiness that you have within. And I feel like just viewing your life as everything is good. And I think when you wake up every day, regardless to what's going on in your life, I think if you wake up and you say, hey, my life is great, I have everything that I need, then I think you go about your day feeling good. But if you wake up and if I'm looking at everybody else's homes and everybody else's wallets, it's impossible to be happy, especially all the hocus pocus on the internet. I don't do that. I don't compete with anyone else. I don't compare myself to anyone else. I feel like, I'm on my own journey. I'm on my own vessel. And I'm moving the way I'm supposed to be, and I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be today.
That's the line. And that's where I feel I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. And I have to say, there aren't really many people. I think we attract really good things, and we're super happy because not of the big things around us, and obviously we have incredible lives, but we've created those lives. We really have. Like, there by the grace of God go any of us. And the key thing is to maintain this positive attitude, because if you're a positive person, obviously people want to be your friend. If
Totally,
you've
yeah.
known the whole time, who wants to be that person's friend?
Nobody,
No one.
by the way, yeah, no. I think it's contagious, but it's also a mindset of, I always give my friends compliments.
Always.
I always make my friends feel good. You could be going through the worst thing in life, and I'm like, no, your life is amazing. No, it's, I always look at the positive things. And I think if you just focus on the positive things that you have going on for you, you're going to have more blessings. You're going to have more good things come your way. But if you're constantly negative, you're constantly just in your own head, you're going to be in your own way.
And I think that's a really powerful message because, frankly, after your divorce, you could have literally sat here and curled up into a ball because the media was so cruel to you.
Yeah.
And it was...
I think it makes a better story.
Yeah, of course.
I think it makes a better story when they turn it into a negative. I think it makes it about, your ex is so upset you did this or that. And I'm like, by the way, we just had dinner. No one's upset. No one's upset. We're all good. My kids are killing it. I'm killing it. We're great,
That's what's so amazing, by the way, because I, again, on a smaller level, I had the same thing. Everyone was like, did your ex have an affair? Did you have an affair? And I'm like, I don't know. I never asked him. That's not why we're divorced.
Yeah, exactly.
And if he had or I had, we could have fixed that had we wanted to.
Right.
We grew apart. It was not something that I wanted to go into or ask because I didn't need the answer. That wasn't why I was divorcing him. And I'm sure you probably feel the same way. We just outgrew each other.
Yeah, but I don't think it's one thing that causes a breakup. It's not one.
No.
It's a multiple, situation. It's not one thing. It's like a lot of little things that add up and you don't address them and then you kind of let it become so big that it's too big to bear. And that's kind of what happened to me in my relationship.
That's what happened to me.
But you know what? I saw it along the way and I kept having these conversations with my ex and I was like, I'm not happy with this. I'm not happy with that. We started to live apart. He bought a ranch in Arkansas. He was living a lot of time in Arkansas. And I was like, that's not healthy. I spent all these years raising our kids while you played basketball. And now that you're retired is the time where you're supposed to spend more time with me and the kids. But yet he felt like he worked so hard. It was his turn to do the things he enjoyed doing. And
Which you can see too.
listen, I'm not mad at him for it, that he
Yeah.
chose that path. We just kind of grew apart.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, we didn't meet in the middle.
That's the point. No one's to blame. And I think that's exactly what happened to us. I wanted this big life. I got the big life. But to have the big life, my ex had to go and work in another country, to get the money.
You know what I think is kind of not cool? When I have friends that literally still complain about their husband, that they got divorced from 10 years ago.
Oh,
And they're like, he destroyed my
can't.
life, he cheated on me, or
Yeah.
he left me, and they just look at all the stuff, and I'm like, you cannot look at that. You have to look at it like your time expired. It's time for you to move forward, not look back. Like, it's almost like when my son loses a game. Do you know what I say to him? Oh my God, Scotty, that was 2 days ago. We're gonna move past that.
is he not going to play again?
No, I'm like, no, you played really hard. Yeah. We let it go. We move forward. I never ever think about the past, dwell on the past, and that's kind of how I'm built like a Bentley,
I know girls that moan longer after a divorce than they were married.
I know.
And then you wonder why you're still single.
And then nobody wants to be a part of that.
Nobody wants to be a part of it.
Nobody wants to be a part of someone that talks negatively about their past. I would never be with a guy that spoke negatively about his ex-wife or partner. I just would never want to be a part of that.
I feel the same way. I've never done it, never will. Even my darkest moments with him, and trust me, we've had them.
Yeah, of course.
I still, as you said, love him very much for the father he is to my children and the friend he is to me and the life we shared then.
No, 100%. I think you can love someone from a distance.
Yeah.
I think that's okay.
Yep. And I think, look, what I think you've impressively done, and I do think everything is changing for you. I see a shift. Like, to have come out, and as you said, I think after that, because Scotty was so loved, you really did get a pounding from the media. And you've come out, and when did you realize, or how did you redefine yourself? Because I feel like you are redefining yourself.
Honestly, I'm just focusing on my blessings. I'm just focusing on the good things that I have going on for me. My kids are thriving. They feel good. I feel like my businesses are doing really well. I just have to focus on the good things, and I think more positive things happen when you just are resilient and focus on the right things instead of the noise. Because I think the noise will always be there in some capacity, whether it's small, if you're in a small town, or if it's big and you're, on a big platform. There's always going to be haters. There's always going to be noise. I never, ever have focused on the noise, maybe because I was married to a superstar at 22 years old. So when he had bad games, people would yell at me. They would yell at him. So it's like, and we would take a beating publicly for his performance on the court. So I think for me, I've been in it for so long that it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me when people say, oh my God, she shouldn't have dated so-and-so, or oh my God, she shouldn't be dating this guy, or, she shouldn't be doing that. Because I feel like for me, like, I don't focus on, the noise. It doesn't bother me. I'm okay with it.
And do you feel like you were unfairly attacked? Like
100%.
he became...
But people want to pick on the wife. People want to pick whoever the bigger celebrity is. They're going to cheer for that person. That's just how it works in our world. Whoever's the biggest person. It's like if you fight with a friend who's bigger than you, you're never going to win because that person has more fame. That person has more power. So I think sometimes it's better not to worry about that, not to engage in that, and just focus on the things you want to do. Focus on your blessings, the hard work you're putting in. I put in so much work. I shot 3 shows for NBC this year. I launched my Larsa light.
I love that Larsa light, by the way. Oh,
she
my
keeps losing them.
God,
though.
I lost one.
Okay.
All right, I lost one, but it's genius.
But just things like that. I'm launching a Lujo, a tequila company. I invested in a dating app called Date.com.
I mean, since we've been here, actually, we've been talking, you'd laugh. We've been discussing exactly that, your investments, my investments, turning everything around. I mean, like, I'm sure when you were with Scotty, you didn't really have to think like that. And it's a completely different mindset, which I'm enjoying so much too, taking control of my finances for the rest of my life.
I think it's never too late to learn. And I feel like I've learned along the way. I think when I was, younger, I worried more about like our homes and our investments when it came down to like our banks and stuff like that. And now I feel like I invest in startup companies. I've invested in Tonal. I've invested in Halo, a dog collar company that tracks your dog. And, I've invested in Alujo, a tequila, the Larsa Light, Larsa Marie Jewelry. And I invested in a dating app because all my friends were single. And I was like, I want to create a dating app that can verify people, so you're not wasting your time on guys that you think are so good looking and the photos are catfished. It's not real. And so I feel like you should diversify your income, have different means of, getting residual income, passive income. There's different ways to make money. And I feel like if you basically, spread yourself out and do different things, it's a good thing. And you'll make mistakes. That's normal. I feel like I've made so many mistakes early on, when I started my journey, but I feel like it's a learning process.
I'm exactly the same. So we have spent quite a lot of time discussing this because, since I got divorced, I really feel like as well, I had to, I went up and I've been very down. And I finally came back. But the way that I've come back is exactly like this. It's diversifying and it's thinking long term.
Yeah,
and
of course.
I'm still living my best life. Like obviously I've always said, if you're investing in everything, you still have to like treat yourself if you can, because otherwise you're just paying bills. But, I think you and I have sat there and we've discussed all our property investments and all of this. And, neither of us got huge settlements, by the way. We are literally making it work with our work.
Totally.
And I want to make that clear when you all sit out there, because, when I got divorced, I had very little money left because of my court case. And, and I have built it back. And I think you have built incredible things, for yourself now with the shows, with all the opportunities. And she's invested a lot in property too, and all the things. And I've got the podcast, we've got property, we've got homeware line, bedding, all of these things coming out too, because the one thing Sergio and I discuss all the time is that you need to have probably over 7 sources of income from all the books we've read.
Yeah, it's just good to have different means of income.
Yep.
And at the same time, don't live above your means.
No.
Do not live above your means, because I see that all the time, and then I see people crash, and that's not what you're supposed to. You're supposed to live below your means, strategize, learn, and
I think we're doing that a lot. And I think obviously there's good debt and bad debt, and it's learning about that. Mm-hmm. I don't have credit cards anymore. I don't have anything like that because I just don't really believe in them.
Yeah.
So everything that I spend is cash, which is a great way to be, because I think I used to look at credit cards as money in my account, and they're just not. But what I do now is if I make lump sums of money, I go and put it into, we talked about it yesterday.
You shop, Caroline.
Well, I do shop.
You shop, yeah.
But I don't do that. But then I sell my old clothes too.
You do.
And I get it back in. I'm really good at that.
I don't sell my clothes. I give it to my friends and family.
Well, you're a nicer person than me.
Yeah.
And, but I feel like we had this discussion. I don't know what you got it for, but you have a lump sum of money coming now from a show or something. And you said, shall I do this or shall I do that? And I told you, go and buy a bloody apartment. That's what you do.
I know. And
straight away. And you're like, okay, you're right. So, of course, we're girls. We get, we do go and look at Chanel and, want, but we do also make the right decisions as well. You have many apartments that you rent out now. So that is good debt because, someone else is paying the mortgage. You are sitting here, they're rented out and they're bringing you income. And hopefully, in a few years when they're all paid off, it'll be income for the rest of your life.
Yeah, totally.
And that's, really all you can wish for.
But I also think it's surrounding yourself with people that are like-minded like you. So I think that for me, when I was just a wife, I had friends that were super powerful and that were entrepreneurs. Her ringer is, woo!
No, we need a baby.
Oh, Sergio. You guys, we have to take that off. You're alert.
Every day
or you're
going
to plan to have a baby, Caroline. We have to decide what we're going to do.
We're not doing that.
Then
Larsa
we need to
wants me
take
to
it
have
off
a
your
baby.
phone
we need to take it off
because
my
it's
phone.
stressful.
It's so stressful.
Every day you get
every day.
You need to have a baby.
I know.
I think just have the baby.
Have the baby. Okay. Sergio's nodding his head. Let's go back to finances. So I actually think that's a very important point. I think when we came out of marriages, and actually that's probably, is that when I met you as well? I just
No, I was married when
you were married, but me,
you were going through it.
I was going through it. I was
Yeah.
leaving. And I think I was going through this, like I was completely lost. I was partying like a rock star. And at
I was
that
carrying
time,
you in LA.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And at that time, I think that was also not the end of your marriage, but you know, you were happy to do that with me. I was wilder, but you know, I think now it's funny to see us all these years on sitting and talking about our investments and our teenage children.
I know, it's so amazing.
Yeah. And
I feel like it's so good. It's, you know, there's different stages in life, and I feel like I'm so happy I'm over that life, and I'm really excited to be a part of this life.
I'm completely over that life. Actually, Larsa took me out the other night to a nightclub, and I haven't been to a nightclub for ages because we don't really have them in Dubai at the moment. And I have to say I had a great time, and it was my birthday, so I had to go. But I definitely, that'll be the last time for quite a while.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think...
It was fun. We had a great time, but I do feel like the next day you're exhausted, you're hungover. It's just not
it was
my
nice
day.
because we're here. I don't
Yeah.
get to see you very often, so
Yeah.
it was special. And I think that's actually really nice too, by the way. If you've got something, I do believe everything in moderation, everything.
100%,
You know, you should
yeah.
definitely have that side of your life, because if you don't, it always comes out later.
I think you're supposed to have self-control.
Yes.
That's a really important thing.
Do I have that?
You, not so much. Sergio, a lot. Sergio has a lot. I feel like Sergio has a lot of self-control. I have a lot of self-control, right, Sergio?
All or nothing. That's us. That's me. But, you know, I feel like our lives have taken on this, you know, you're building your beautiful home. I've just built mine. You know, and the funny thing is, since I've been sitting here, this is as happy as I felt in another place, another country, that's felt that I could be somewhere. And I've been looking at, like, apartments to get maybe to come here, and I love being with you and your family. And I, you know, I see the life you've built for yourself now. And that's all you wish for your friends. That genuinely is. I look around, and I think that's also something that you and I have, that we have never been jealous of each other, ever.
No. Yeah. I feel like we always help each other.
Yeah.
That's what friends are supposed to. I don't have a jealous bone in my body at all. Like, I want all my friends to have more, to look better, to thrive. Like, I'm not in competition with anyone. I'm in competition with Larsa. That's it.
And that is the main thing in life, to wake up in the morning and love the life that you're leading. If you don't love your life for whatever reason, change it.
Well, listen, I know people that live in the smallest apartments that are so happy, and I know people that are living in the biggest mansions that are so miserable.
Oh, me
Money
too.
does not equate happiness.
I always
it
say
does not equate success. What is success? I think at the end of the
peace.
day, exactly. I think success is happiness and feeling good about yourself. That to me means more than all the money in the world.
And by the way, I think once we all got over, you know, everything we were going in your lives, like, you know, the dating, the partying and all of this, that's when we got hit with the right men.
Yeah.
You know, you're so settled now, you know, and you have a wonderful partner that, you know, supports you, and you're going to, you know, do things together, you know, and you live together, you work together, just very much like similar to us, you know, which is...
Nobody knows he lives here, but okay, Caroline.
Oh, God.
I'm like...
Exclusive.
Yeah.
Okay, he doesn't live here.
Doesn't live here, but
Doesn't live here. His things are not in. I can cut that out if you want. But, you know, that you are building a life with. And I feel like this is as good as it gets so far for you.
Yeah, I feel really good, you know. You know what I think happens? I think when you're in a position of a lot of people want to get to know you, you're like all over the place. You're like, I should date him, I should date him, I should date him. And at the end of the day, you start realizing that it's not real. You know, it's like they just want to be seen out with you, or they want to take you on one date, or you're not compatible. You know, you don't like the same things. And I think it's hard because of Instagram and social media, because they have your head feeling like there's all these guys that want you. But at the end of the day, they're not the right guy for you. You know, it's not real. It's not real.
So what is your ideal man? Like, what are the qualities today that you feel would suit the, you know, Larsa 2.0?
I just feel like someone that comes from a nice family, someone that's very family oriented, someone that I can learn from, I can be around all the time. And, just like a normal, nice, kind person. I think 5 years ago, what I thought was the kind of guy that I should be with is not what I think today, you know? And I also think it's being around certain people. I had a set of friends that literally thought I should date someone who had a bigger last name than me. I should date someone that has, you know, so much more money than me or so much more success than me. And I don't feel like that's not reality, you know? I think you really are supposed to be with someone that makes you feel good and that you can sleep well with at night.
I think friends, that's a very good point. The people that influence you, and I've learnt that lately, I am really choosing my circle now for the new 2.0 Caroline.
I mean, it's important because I feel like your friends do influence you. You don't see it at the time, but if you take a step back, you start to realize that your community really does affect how you think, how you live, you know? And I think my circle of friends now is so much smaller than it was when I was in LA full time. Like, it's so much smaller now, and I'm so much happier. The things that I value are things that are meaningful, not necessarily all this hocus pocus, like, you know, let's go to this event, let's be seen here. I don't really care for that lifestyle anymore.
What do you feel that is the biggest misconception about you?
I don't know. I feel like there's so many, you know, there's so many. I feel like people don't really know who I am. I feel like I am such a good person. I'm so giving, so loving. I've raised 4 superstar kids. And I think a lot of times people see the tabloids and they see, you know, the hocus pocus aspect of who they think Larsa is. And you can't fault me because I have options for guys to date. That's not, you know what I'm saying? That's not a...
I actually think I've always said to women, you should absolutely date, because you shouldn't pick the first person. You should date as much as you can and get it right. So,
figure
like,
it out, you know?
yeah, why wouldn't you date? I don't understand that at all, frankly. Yeah. I mean, to go from a 20-year marriage and then expect the next one to be the one is just ridiculous. You need to date.
You definitely need to date, but I also feel like people judge you when you date another celebrity or you date someone they know, or, you know, once you're seen out with someone, it's just a negative connotation. I don't see it like that. I see it like everyone should date. Everyone should go to dinners. Everyone, you know, and I feel like a lot of people don't know this about me, but when I date a guy, I never am alone with him for a long time. Like, it's always like group settings because I'm trying to figure out if we're compatible. So I'm always like, hey, my friends are going to dinner. Do you want to come with your friends? And it's more so like that, but I don't know how other people date.
I think because you have a body that's made for sin.
Oh gosh.
And yeah, I'm definitely more slutty than you are.
You by far.
By far.
By far.
And you know, but that's what I love about you. And Larsa, you are amazing. You have brought up 4 amazing children. And you know what? I don't care what anyone says. When you have little people walking around that you have influenced, they are a reflection of who you are.
Yeah.
My children are polite. They can interact beautifully with people. They have confidence, and your children have exactly that. And they're, a credit to you because you are the person that they spend all their time with. So what I would like to say to people out there is, before you judge, and I've always said that, you have to get to know the person. You can't make judgment on someone from somebody else's judgment.
Well, how many times have you thought a celebrity was so amazing?
Oh.
But you know what? And then when you meet them, they're so not.
Yeah, and you're disappointed.
So I think it's not fair sometimes, but like I said, I live in my truth. I love my life. I love the life that I've built. I feel like my life is amazing, so I focus on that.
Thank you, Larsa. I think, women out there will be truly inspired by who you've become, what you've been through. And I think, what would say is, like, when you do follow Larsa and when we do our retreat together, you're going to see something very, very different. Someone who's extremely well-adjusted, extremely smart, and and very strong with your convictions. You know exactly what you want and who you are now.
Totally.
Any advice or anything you want to leave our listeners with?
No, I feel like just focus on your blessings.
I love that. Thank you, Larsa. This has been amazing, and I love you. And I'm so glad that everyone out there will see what I see, because she's one of the kindest humans I know, for sure.
Love you.
Love you more. Oh, thank you for listening to another episode of Uncut and Uncensored. Don't forget to rate, review, and follow.